Skye. Sometimes, even if you make your career out of fitness, you can still struggle to be happy with your body. This is a struggle that fitness star Skye knows all too well. She's an Australian trainer who became famous on social media but was really suffering behind the scenes. Skye explained that she was absolutely obsessed with doing cardio in order to reduce her body fat as much as possible. She managed to get her weight down to only 104 pounds. To do so, she needed to overload on cardio and restrict her calories to an extremely unhealthy amount. Many fans thought that she looked fantastic, but inside she was truly suffering. Skye admits that at her lowest weight, she was dealing with depression and severe body issues. How did she deal with the issue? She focused on weightlifting instead of cardio and began doing high-intensity interval training. Coupled with a much healthier and higher calorie diet, she gained 28 pounds, bringing her weight up to 132 pounds. Skye claims that her weight gain has left her feeling stronger, happier, and more satisfied with her body than ever before. Gaining weight doesn't always mean more body fat or affect how healthy you are overall, and that's definitely the case here. Mila Kunis. One of the many celebrities who dropped a huge amount of weight for a film role is the gorgeous Mila Kunis. In order to properly play an intense ballet dancer, she had to lose a total of 20 pounds. Considering the fact that she's pretty short and only 5'4" tall, that is a lot of weight to lose, and it wasn't easy to shed those pounds. She admits that the method she used to drop the weight isn't one she would ever recommend to anyone else. Kunis started out with standard calorie restriction and utilized a meal delivery service to make this even easier. A long time ago, Kunis gave up cigarettes, but she started back up again in order to help suppress her appetite and lose weight. This crazy unhealthy method got her down to 95 pounds for the role, but Kunis was feeling far from her best. She wasn't happy with her new, thinner body, and neither were her fans. Many accused her of having an eating disorder and said cruel things about her appearance. Shockingly, when she stopped smoking and started gaining the weight back, people still had negative things to say about her appearance. Thankfully, Kunis gained the weight back for herself and says that she's happiest at her normal weight. Heatherton. It's no secret that being a model usually means there are extremely strict limitations on what you can weigh, especially if you're a Victoria's Secret angel who regularly struts their stuff in skimpy lingerie. That was the situation that model Heatherton found herself in, and it was one that she found completely unsustainable. Looking at photos of Heatherton during her modeling career, it may shock you to know that many people believed her body to be less than ideal. She was exercising multiple times a day, watching what she ate, and still being chastised by her agents for not being thinner. Heatherton claims that she was doing everything possible to get thinner, but her body was simply not cooperating because it felt that it was already thin enough. Things got so bad that Heatherton realized she just couldn't do it anymore. The idea of young women and fellow models looking up to her while knowing what she was doing to her body was just too much. Heatherton traded in her halo and started listening to her body when it came to diet and exercise. She claims that gaining a healthy amount of weight has caused her to feel much happier and more like her authentic self. Hathaway. Another actress who dropped a ton of weight for a role is Anne Hathaway. She started losing weight to play Catwoman in The Dark Knight Rises and continued in order to portray Fantine in Les Miserables. Hathaway has called the method she used a starvation diet, and obviously it's not something that she recommends. She started out with a vegan diet and intense exercise program. Eventually, she resorted to eating just 2 thin squares of dried oatmeal per day in order to lose the last few pounds needed for the film. At the time, Hathaway admits that she was unhappy and mired in physical and emotional deprivation. When she won an Oscar, she felt uncomfortable with the accolades because of what she went through in order to achieve them. She claims that she felt much better following a reasonable eating plan and gaining back the weight she had worked so desperately hard to lose. But now, thanks to her newest role, Anne Hathaway is actually focused on gaining weight instead of losing it. And of course, some fans are also criticizing that. But Hathaway is keeping her head high, and only time will tell if she's happier weighing even more than she did after her most recent weight gain. Selena Gomez. Singer Selena Gomez is known for a great many things: her considerable musical talents, her on-again, off-again relationship with Justin Bieber, and the way that she looks, which is probably why tongue started wagging the second she gained a little bit of weight. It turns out that she'd fallen into a trap that many of us are familiar with. She was in a relationship with Zed and felt free to let go a little bit. This resulted in her gaining some weight, but surprisingly, Gomez was totally fine with this. After feeling so much pressure to be thin and having everyone look at her body so critically, it it felt great to relax and indulge a bit. Gomez admitted that she didn't care at all about a few extra pounds and even enjoyed the new curves of her new body. To make people's criticisms even more shameful, remember that Selena Gomez suffers from a condition called lupus. One side effect of her medications is weight gain, so it's something that she may have no control over now or at some other points in her life. Despite her weight gain, Selena knows that it's what's inside that matters and tries not to let the naysayers get to her. Aaron Carter. It's not only women who struggle with their weight and body image, especially in Hollywood. Over the years, fans of Aaron Carter noticed that he kept getting skinnier and skinnier. Many fans were greatly concerned, and Carter finally let them in on what was happening in his private life. He was diagnosed with a condition known as a hiatal hernia, which is caused by a weakness in the diaphragm muscle. Because of this condition, which is aggravated by stress, Carter didn't have much of an appetite. He confessed that this turned into an eating disorder, and that was the reason for his dramatic weight loss. At the same time, he was struggling with addiction, getting arrested, and generally just being in a total downward spiral. Many people believed that this would be the end of Aaron Carter, but he was just getting ready for his comeback. After a stint in rehab, he emerged looking better than ever and started gaining weight again. He shocked fans by revealing that he had gained a whopping 30 pounds and was thrilled about it. He went from a gaunt 115 pounds to 145 pounds in just a few weeks and couldn't wait to share the good news with his fans. Kesha. Considering the fact that her songs frequently praise a life of dancing, drinking, and general debauchery, many people weren't surprised that Kesha ended up in rehab. However, she wasn't there because of a struggle with addiction, but rather due to an eating disorder that was slowly consuming her life. Even someone as edgy as Kesha isn't immune to the pressure to be thin placed on us by society. As she grew increasingly famous, she also faced a ton of criticism from online bullies who targeted her appearance and her weight specifically. She began to feel ashamed of her body, and this caused her to have an eating disorder. Kesha admits that she didn't feel like she deserved to eat at times, and she went to great lengths to hide her disorder from those around her. One day at a party, she found herself desperately trying to find a place to hide her serving of dinner. This made her realize that she had gone off the rails and she needed to ask those around her for help. We're happy to say that Kesha completed a rehabilitation program and managed to gain weight in a healthy way. She's now much happier and even wrote her latest album, Rainbow, as a tribute to her success. Sasha Peters. While some stars gain or lose weight for a role, sometimes it's something that they just can't control. That's the situation that Pretty Little Liars star Sasha Peters found herself in. She was struggling with a hormone imbalance, which caused her to pile on some pounds while she was portraying the character Alison De Laurentiis. Something like this is hard enough to deal with, period, let alone when nasty online trolls use it as an excuse to mock you. Many people would have given in to despair and maybe even used unsafe methods to lose the weight. But Peters persevered and declared that loving yourself is one of the hardest things we as humans can do. She pointed out that society profits when we doubt ourselves. That's because we cater to our insecurities instead of staying strong. Bravely, she declared that she was determined to love her body at every weight. Not that this means she wouldn't try to improve, but she refused to let something like society pressure her into feeling miserable about the way that her body looks. We think this is an excellent mindset and one we wish way more people would adopt. Demi Lovato. Another strong woman who knows that your self-worth isn't measured on a scale is Demi Lovato. When she was called out for gaining weight, she confessed that rather than her weight, she struggles with her self-esteem. After years and years of obsessive dieting, Lovato realized that she needed to take a break for her mental and physical health. This caused her to put on some weight, but it also caused her to become much happier. She now feels less restricted and doesn't feel ashamed for enjoying certain foods that were always off limits to her before. Still, even with her body feeling better, it's a daily struggle to remain positive thanks to all the negativity and haters out there. But just because she's not counting calories doesn't mean that she is no longer healthy. Lovato still exercises regularly and has been practicing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for years. It took a long time, but she's realized that staying strong and feeling good about yourself is way more important than just being thin. While that's hard to remember in today's society, it seems like Lovato is really keeping her head up in this tough situation. The more she speaks out and stays strong, the less power online trolls will have over her and her happiness. Bridget Malcolm. Bridget Malcolm was once a Victoria's Secret angel and is now much happier at a heavier weight. For a long time, she staggered under the pressure put on her to look thin for her job as a model. In order to maintain a certain thin aesthetic, she met with a nutritionist who put her on an extremely restrictive diet. At one point, she was consuming only about 800 calories per day. If you're thinking that doesn't sound healthy, you're right. According to Bridget, this overly restricted diet had serious physical ramifications. Her digestive system was out of whack, her menstrual cycle got thrown off, and mentally she was a bit of a mess. Then one day, she just woke up and realized that she wouldn't deprive herself like that anymore. She started eating healthy, sensible portions of food and went from an unhealthy to a normal BMI. Malcolm claims that she's much happier now and tries not to think of her life in terms of when she was thinner versus heavier. She just tries to concentrate on her health and happiness instead of what the scale says. Being free from obsessively counting calories has led to a ton of increased mental health for this former angel.